All right, friends, it's T and I'm back again, man. We're going to do another video on Jason Blaha, our favorite influencer, to make reaction videos to the gym, lifting, recruiting, gear, fitness slave himself, Jason Blaha. To do a reaction video to Jason Blaha. Jason Blaha says, biggest mistake people make when trying to gain muscle. The biggest mistake is listening to fake influencers that don't have that are doing it fakely. That's what the mistake they're making when it comes to trying to gain muscle. Yes.
What are the biggest mistakes that people make when trying to gain muscle? Hey, everybody.
Really simple. Listening to people like Jason Blaha who inject plant genetics in them.
It's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today.
They could have done anything and they would look the way those plant genetics will create you to look. That's the look, cosmetic look. It's a cosmetic look. Let's just say women use these other things for cosmetics. Men use steroids as a cosmetic for themselves. The only problem is it doesn't fix their face. It doesn't cosmetically change your face. It can change your body to look a certain way. You know what I mean? But even then, it doesn't change the symmetry in certain things of your body. Because, like, look at Jason Blaha. he's taking these hormones, and man, that body is really pretty bad. It hasn't done anything for it to make it look better.
We're going to narrow it down to two big ones. All right.
Yeah.
Number one, simply not training hard enough. Okay? Simply not training hard enough. That's going to be number one, and I'll discuss what I mean in a minute. And
So simply not training hard enough. You guys aren't training hard enough. Meanwhile, back at the jungle, injection, steroid injection.
Number two, having muscles that you don't work. Okay,
having muscles that you don't work. Well, all muscles are getting worked, though. What are you talking about?
Going to be number two. That's going to be a big one. All right.
That's number two.
So let's talk about the first one. People don't train.
Guys, you just aren't training hard enough. And you know what? Man, what's Jason Blaha doing? This is funny, man.
Train hard enough often, and this is not my opinion. This has been researched in the lab.
It has.
So a lot of times when people are trying to train,
me personally, if you're asking me, I just think people are not training smart enough. That's your problem. You need to find out what an adaptation is and how to get them. That's all that bodybuilding really is about. An adaptation principle. Lifting is based on adaptations too, the neurological adaptations. If your muscles are adapted, then it takes on another type of adaptation if you're lifting weights. Lifting weights and getting muscular adaptations aren't the same. They're separate. They are separate because if you're adapted to one, then you can't get an adaptation out of the other. For example, if you're trying to get adaptations in myofibular growth, you can't be focused on trying to lift the heaviest weight in the gym. You understand me? But if you're adapted to lifting, you understand me? Then you're not getting any muscular adaptations, and that's why people are all complaining because you're dumb. All these people injected steroids, and what they did was they lift the heaviest weight, and it impresses you. And you go, I want to lift the heaviest weight. And then you've convinced yourself in your head, these dumb people, they tell you if you get a stronger, you're going to get a bigger. Because the steroid guy, he's convinced you that, look, I got the stronger, so I got the bigger lifting. Meanwhile, it's sarcoplasmic training because they're not based on the same adaptation principle. One is based on adaptation's muscle damage, you understand me, which interferes with lifting a heavy weight. It interferes, so you can't be focused on that type of adaptation. They don't work together. See what I mean? They're separate.
When they try to assess how close they are to failure, most people, the majority of people, including people with 3 or more years of experience in the lab, cannot actually accurately.
Yeah, when he's telling you you're not working hard enough, he means you're not exerting yourself hard enough to gain more of these sarcoplasmic gains, the phony gains. He wants you to gain the phony gains, like Greg Doucette selling you GO2 Max and Turk Builder and a creatine and all that, so you can fill up your muscles with water. You can fake it, just like they're faking it. They're trying to help you fake it. They're trying to help you. Blaha here is disappearing, though. He's so skinny.
Tell you how many reps they are from failure until they reach failure or they get 0 reps in reserve. So
I know lots of runners that run to failure. They run 15 miles, 24 miles, whatever, 44 kilometers, whatever. And yeah, they've run to failure at these marathons. They run to failure. They do it to failure, get it, and then they go eat lots and lots and lots of carbohydrates to load them back in this artificial diet called carbohydrates. So they load a lot of this stuff, and it loads in their muscles because it's a drug. It's an energy source.
people oftentimes think they train hard. They're like, well, I got an intense burn, right? I got an intense pump. But
See? An intense burn and an intense pump. The more intense the pump, the more the sarcoplasm increases in size.
there are 4 reps from failure on every set, 5 reps from failure on every set. And in that
This is sarcoplasmic training. That's what this training is.
case, you're simply going to get a suboptimal training stimulus. In fact, to the point where I've oftentimes said any of these studies are
You're going to get a suboptimal training stimulus, broski. That's the problem with all of you out there, yeah.
show these very high training volumes cause more muscle growth. It's almost
Yes, very high training volumes will cause more sarcoplasmic muscle growth, providing you eat enough glycogen, because glycogen needs to exceed that breakdown, definitely. So eat more of these artificial foods, which the buildup of them become toxic eventually in your muscles. They become toxic. They can actually marbleize your muscles and make them fat. That's another thing you didn't realize. So people say that, oh, you can get fat muscles. You can, eating an artificial diet, which you're not supposed to. They could cause dysbiosis in your stomach. You could get dysbiosis. There's a bunch of things that could happen to you eating artificial food and lifting. So you lifting and eating artificial food, wow, this is a combination for real hell, bro. That's why these influencers are dropping off. They're all dying because they're eating a lot more artificial food, especially they're going more vegan and lifting, and then they're dying. Look around. Read the newspaper. Go look online. These influencers are dying. They're dropping off. The best one is the starvation one. I like the ones that they're starving, the starving compilations.
ways because they're not training hard enough on individual sets.
They're not training hard enough on individual sets. Yes, that's their problem. I love the starving compilations. I don't know if I can bring it up in here. Oh no, it went to
Starving compilations.
yeah. I just love these. This is one good one too. I love this one. The starving compilation.
I feel like that's one of
They call them the vegan starving, vegan I'm starving compilation.
the things with being vegan, like especially for new vegans. Sometimes people feel like they don't feel full, they don't feel satisfied. And we are. Well, they say never shop hungry, but I'm always hungry. I'm starving.
I was super hungry when I went.
I'm starving. I'm super hungry. Because your muscles just want nutrients. They don't want calories. They don't want high caloric diets. They want fucking nutrients, high nutrient diets.
To the gym.
I'm really hungry, deep divers.
She was going to the gym hungry because she's a vegan.
Bowl of watermelon just like as a pre-breakfast, and then I'll catch up with you all when I eat something for a regular breakfast.
Like, this isn't my breakfast, this is my pre-breakfast treat.
Sugar on top. I love this for a breakfast before the big breakfast.
It's just how it is. I am pretty hungry right now. It is now 1 o'clock and I'm hungry.
Because I know as a vegan, there's a lot of things that I can't eat. When you take your first bite, you should really close your
I
eyes.
love this
Hungry.
shit. I'm hungry. I'm starving.
Very, very hungry.
I'm hungry. I'm starving. Look at this poor kid. He's starving too.
We're vegan. We're gonna be vegan soon, so eat that pie while you can.
See, we're going to be vegan soon, so eat that pie. You going to starve me, Mom?
And I'm absolutely starving from my shoot, so
I had a snack just before making lunch because I was so hungry after coming home.
I had a snack because I was so hungry before I came home, had snacks. This destroys your health is what it does. Puts you in negative nitrogen balance, so you're catabolic. That's why they're starving all the time. They're starving because they're in negative nitrogen balance, and that is a recipe for death, broski. That's why they're all dropping off. All these people.
Because I'm so hungry.
I'm like literally.
That's the guy on steroids. Isn't that bodybuilder guy right there? Jesus.
Supplements.
Now I'm ready to go eat because I'm so hungry.
I'm like literally trying to load up as much as I can. Like I'm eating more than I think is normal. And about one thing about this is just like I feel like I'm constantly thinking about food and what I need to consume. It's like almost like a job to make.
Yeah, it is because you're starving, dude. Get it?
Sure that you're on top of your nutrition, and
that pasta is not salvageable, and he's gonna be.
Yeah. Anyways, let's go back to Blaha. Sorry, I just wanted to show you how deranged these people are. So is Blaha. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Cause more muscle growth. It's almost always because they're not training.
How's it going to cause more muscle growth? What causes muscle growth? How do muscles grow, Blaha?
Hard enough on individual sets, and accordingly, they have to do a ton of volume to even.
Well, they definitely don't grow on vegan diets because, man, you're starving, dude. You're negative nitrogen balance.
Get effective reps, right? Because it does seem fairly obvious, based upon what we can see, what we can measure. Reps that aren't within 5.
We're going to say, but these vegans, they got puffy muscles. Well, they're puffy because they're eating carbohydrates. A carbohydrate is not a vitamin or a nutrient. Look, sugar is not a vitamin or a nutrient or a mineral. It's not a mineral or a vitamin. Where is it on the list where it says sugar? Get it? You understand me, man? Carbohydrate, sugar. It's nowhere on that list. You understand? What is it? I don't know what it is. It's a drug. You understand me? It's a drug. That's what it is. A carbohydrate is a drug.
If reps of failure, in many cases.
And what kind of drugs is he injecting? Plant drugs, steroids. And then he eats another drug called carbohydrates. And then he creates this artificial look. That's how you create the artificial fake look that you're trying to create. Get it? It's not based on something real like in nature. In nature, it's based on what it's really based on, the adaptation principle.
Significant or much muscle growth. So accordingly, if you start thinking about it that way, how many quality reps do you get? Like we can look at what we know about the human body and we can ascertain the closer you get to failure on any given set, the more the muscle growth is from that set. And in fact, it's even...
But how does it grow from that set? Because you just went to failure. How does it do it? How does it grow from that exactly? What's the growth? What is it growing? You went to failure. How did it grow? How did it grow? Sarcoplasmic training. Oh.
Been postulated that a rep that is 1 rep from failure, actually that individual rep causes a larger stimulus than one that is, say, 3 or 4 reps from failure. Okay? They're not even equal in quality. So as you get closer to failure...
I'm going to explain this. If you guys want to build sarcoplasmic muscles, just buy a 50-pound bag of potatoes every other week and just wolf them down like crazy. You don't even need to eat a lot of protein because any protein you eat and the amount of complex carbohydrates you down, it'll spare any little protein in there. So you won't shrink your muscles out completely. So you just go to the gym and you lift. That's it. And eat a lot of potatoes. Don't go in too often. Don't go in too often lifting. Just go periodically kind of lifting. And eat a lot of fucking complex carbohydrates. And you'll blow up. You'll get massive within a couple of weeks. I can guarantee you in a couple of weeks you can gain 30 pounds of these phony sarcoplasmic muscles. And then walk around the gym and look jacked and pretend like, you look big and jacked. Walk around and impress people. You know that. And then they'll whisper and say that you're on steroids. They'll start talking about you that you're on steroids. Okay.
We know that the set itself causes more muscle growth. Okay, and
he says the set causes more muscle growth, but in exercise-induced muscle damage, the adaptation is what causes the muscle growth. The damage is what triggers the muscle growth. That's what triggers it. And that takes quite a while, like I've read to you. That takes over a week period to repair and remodel bigger and stronger. Now it's resilient from further assaults. So what do you need to do? See what I mean? You need to figure it out. Now, he's going to build a muscle with the weight. The weight is building his muscle. What is that? What's that building? Oh, well, yeah, sarcoplasmic.
5 reps is just a loose guess. It is not based upon data. It's the effective rep theory people have thrown out there, but we do need to keep in mind it isn't really proven, by the way. It's almost an arbitrary number picked. But when we look at everything we know about the body, we do know that the closer you get to failure, the more muscle growth you're going to get from an individual set.
The more closer you get to failure, the more individual growth you're going to get. In what? In glycogen. For every gram of glycogen, 3 grams of water. Drop skin muscle into the muscle. Yeah.
Observed in the real world, been observed in the lab.
Sure.
It just seems to be the case, and it makes sense.
Seems to be the case.
But we could also speculate that even those individual reps, the ones that are closer to failure, may actually cause a better stimulus, even on a rep-for-rep basis, not even the set per set. So people just don't train hard enough, or they think then they're training hard. Like, what do you mean? Look how much I'm swinging and cheating and grunting trying to get the last few reps.
See, guys, you're just not training hard enough, and you're not eating enough complex carbohydrates to grow those sarcoplasmic phony muscles, bro. Get it?
But all they're doing is breaking down form. Keeping in mind, if that's happening, the muscle...
Look where he ends up, halfway point right here. He doesn't go all the way down and then a little bit up and then down and up, down and up. He goes down and up. He goes a little bit down and then up. He doesn't go all the way down and then up. His first movement should be from the bottom up, bottom up. He goes from up, down, up, down.
Themselves are not working as hard, they're working less hard. In other words, let's say you end up doing a 12 rep set and the first 5 are strict and then the last 7 you're swinging and cheating. You're actually, with that same weight, you're reducing load on the muscle.
You know, this is like a kind of a sissy squat. This is where you can actually go full range to the bottom of the eccentric exercise and then partial range up midway point and back down again. That's the whole point in rapid movements.
Okay, you're reducing load on the muscle. Now, if you get to muscle failure, it may end up...
Have you seen how he does his calves? They're funny. He just does all eccentric. He's flat on the floor doing the concentric. He never does any eccentric.
Being equal, because you're just doing more reps. But you're not actually getting any benefit from it. And in many cases, it's letting people...
If you ask people who the most influential artist is,
but you're not actually getting any benefit from it. And in many cases, it's letting people just cheat more, and then when the muscles cheating and other stuff become the weak link, they still don't get the best optimal stimulus. So they're not really training hard, they're just swinging and flopping around and making noise, okay? Whereas in actually just maintaining stricter form and you know, reaching muscle failure or deep fatigue that is very close to it, guess what? Probably going to cause more muscle growth. And you'll see through this video some of the stuff I'm doing here is actual rest pause, meaning I've actually reached muscle failure, rest a few seconds, and try to bang out another strict rep or two, right, without cheating. Okay, that was what we mean by training hard. That's probably about as hard as you're realistically going to train. And actually get anything productive out of it. All right? Kind of a big deal here. So people just don't train hard enough. They think they do, or then they're like, well, I trained for 3 hours. Well, if you're training for 3 hours, you're going to have some crazy work capacity, or you're going to have to really sandbag early in the workout. So it's a good sign you may not be training that hard. You know, the set I just did there on the camera, that would be an example of, you know, pretty hard set. All right, the other thing, leaving muscles off the table. If you're trying to gain muscle, if you are trying to gain muscle, you need to be training everything. And so therefore, if you're skipping major muscle groups, even if you're maximizing growth in the ones that you are training, you're gaining less muscle. So in other words, if you only train 80% of the muscles in your body with any significant work, see where I'm going? Well, the other 20% is just gains left on the table. You're reducing the amount of muscle you gain. And people get these ideas, well, I've seen this by many people. Well, if I just don't train this, and it'll give recovery to the other stuff. Yeah, at a systemic level, but localized, not really. You're not going to gain any more muscle from it. In other words, there is not one single solitary shred of evidence anywhere that would suggest that by skipping your legs, your biceps will grow faster. Now, I don't think the other point is provable, but people have speculated that, just due to hormone release, that actually training your legs may make your arms actually grow faster.
What? Yeah, due to growth hormone release, that make it grow faster. Yeah, by grabbing more of this glycogen into the muscle. That's what the steroids are doing. Steroids don't build muscles, man, but they'll retain energy and turn over proteins and retain energy in the form of glycogen in your muscle. That's why bodybuilders, these fake bodybuilders, they eat so much glycogen, bro. They eat carbs. They eat a phony diet to create these phony muscles. Think about it. If steroids build muscles, then why don't you eat protein? If protein builds muscles, then eat a protein diet. You don't need anything else then, right? You're taking steroids. They build muscles. Okay. Go find out go find out for yourself. Go eat that protein, right? And go take steroids, and you'll find out very quickly what's going to happen. Nothing. Your muscles aren't going to grow. That's why you see them downing crazy amounts of carbohydrates, all these crazy bodybuilders and everybody. Even what's his face is on steroids, and he says he's shrinking now. Eddie the Beast, he says he's losing weight. What exactly is he losing? He's not losing muscle because he never built any. What he's losing is all that phony weight he carried. He's fat and he carries a lot of weight. It's the carbohydrates. The carbohydrates that are loaded in his muscle, the glycogen he keeps holding because of the steroids he takes, the gear, and everything else. And that's why they shrink. They get really small. You understand me? That's why they get really small. Small. Even before their competitions, they have to down some carbohydrates just to keep the fullness in there. They're on anabolics now, trying to suppress the fat cell, the triglyceride, so that they look lean but buffed when they show up on stage. See what I mean? They even carb load just before going on stage. It's all fake lifting. It's all fake anyways. Who cares?
That's an old hypothesis. I don't personally adhere to that one, by the way. But it is a hypothesis that's been out there for a long time. It's something people talk about. Okay? And their argument is the various anabolic hormones that were released, the fact that you see systemic growth in the body, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to say that's actually probably all nonsense. But just pointing out there are people who believe that and promote that. So there's definitely a counter argument there. But just in general, your biceps are not going to grow faster just because you skip your legs. Yes, your central nervous system and everything, and peripheral nervous system will probably recover a hair faster, but it's not going to affect the localized recovery or the localized work capacity that is causing the muscle growth.
The localized this, that, to cause the muscle growth and all that. Nobody's growing any muscles out there. Stop wasting your time.
So again, any muscle that you leave untrained is simply less muscle that you're gaining. And
any muscle that you leave untrained, it's not gonna, you're leaving it so it won't grow? But you're training every muscle here because you're an endurance athlete. You're a lifting slave. What are you talking about? You're training everything. You're lifting, so every muscle is getting work. What are you talking about?
You're not doing yourself any favors. Okay, it's not a case of, well, I can train this muscle twice as much if I skip these others. No, it's not going to benefit. It is not.
What?
Not going to grow one drop faster by doing that. If anything, it's just going to promote you overtraining in that muscle, having overuse injuries, inflammation in your tendons, eventually all sorts.
Oh yeah, because you're breaking down. You're overtraining. It means you're breaking down proteins more than they're building up. That's what overtraining is. That's what's going to weaken you and cause you an injury and a bunch of other stuff.
So again, leaving gains on the table. You're just simply choosing to gain less muscle, right? That's not the best way.
Choosing to gain less muscle? This doesn't make any sense. You don't choose anything. You don't choose how the body builds muscle or not. You understand me? You don't choose anything. But you can manipulate glycogen. That's about it. You don't control follistatin, myostatin, and the satellite cell, dude, and these myonuclei. You don't control them. They're highly controlled and whatever, bro. They're highly controlled, okay? You don't control them, but you can manipulate the glycogen in the muscle to grow phony muscles by lifting. That for sure you can manipulate. especially with steroids. You can manipulate it even more with steroids because you're all lazy eaters. You don't want to eat enough potatoes. You don't want to eat enough complex carbs to build those phony sarcoplasmic muscles. But you can do them if you do that. But whatever. And as far as lifting, it's just crazy. It's a molecule. It's causing you. It's giving you strength to lift even heavier, which is taxing on your muscles as it is because now it's overtaxing on the muscle because it can't lift that much.
To gain muscle, and it's hurting your overall progress if you do that. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative.
Yes, it's hurting you. It's hurting me too, listening to this. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Tell us what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Blaha at it again. See you later.